So yeah, tell us about Premier Metal Processing. Like I said, I know you were down near the northeast of the San Diego area. So tell us a bit about all that you all do there and for the industry.
Sounds good. So we're basically a obviously a job shop. So we do service
Mhm.
quite a few industries. We service a couple of primes and mainly the support system for the primes. So we work with a lot of their vendors like machine shops, sheet metal shops, etc. So we do hit quite a bit of industries. We offer pretty diverse amount of services. So we do everything but spray on coatings. So things like anodized, chemfilm,
Mhm.
zinc, nickel, electropolish, and passivation. So we do quite an array of processes, but everything being immersion coating. So we don't really haven't forayed into the spray on coatings like powder coat or paint as of yet.
Right, right. Yeah, some of the industries, like you said, I guess down that way you would be aerospace. But I know you all do a lot of talked about some of the industries that you're servicing, and it's good to have a variety of them, right? You don't want to be relying on
Yeah.
just one, but
So
yeah.
like we've kind of purposely as well as by luck diversified. So we've kind of always had the benefit of working with multiple industries. So we work within some of the aerospace industry, which is starting to be a little bit more constrictive for us. But we do work a
Mhm.
lot with the Department of Defense, so the defense industry, electronics, semiconductors. We do work a lot with the nuclear power reactors and underwater marine applications as well. So we do quite a bit. We're not really a niche shop, so I can't really say, oh, we're great with
Mhm.
connectors or we're great with this. We kind of are a little bit more diverse in what we do. So it's kind of
Right.
been the saving grace. The benefit is historically one industry will go down, whereas we always have one industry we could rely on, or the other industries will do well. The only exception to that
Right.
would be the last year and a half, 2 years. I think it's changed a lot in the last couple of
Mm.
years compared
Mm.
to the last 15 years that I could recall.
Mhm. And in what way has that been? That it's how's it changed over the years with that?
Typically, the way I always described it is, even with COVID, COVID is a perfect example. In the beginning of COVID, aerospace just fell off the map. Anyone that was doing a lot of prime contracts kind of were like frozen in place. We were okay because every other industry started booming right away. So
Mhm.
basically, it was always a blessing. However, now it doesn't seem to be industry specific. So, for example, take the Department of Defense. Certain players or certain primes in that area will be doing phenomenal. The rest of them in that industry will be not doing
Mm.
well. So it's not really industry specific that I see. It's usually
Mhm.
customer specific or basically prime specific. So it's a very odd time that I've been doing this about 18 years, 17 years. It's the first time I'm
Mhm.
seeing that in the last year and a half or two.
Mm. Right. Anything that you trace it to? I mean, anything that you can kind of pinpoint, or is it just? I know it's only been like the last 1 or 2 years, so hard to go back and look at the data and really get an idea for it.
Right.
You're living it in real time, but is it any indication of why that may be? Do you think, or?
Um, I don't know if it's just the current economic state. You have a lot of companies holding tight. So
Mhm.
I'm sure other finishers and people in manufacturing kind of notice it. It's like we're doing ultimate expedites, so we're trying to shorten the lead time on less work. It's a very weird
Right.
kind of dynamic we
Mm.
currently have. So I feel as though maybe it's just companies holding tight, kind of waiting to see how the next round of economic changes or administration changes
Right.
will kind of affect what they do. And then eventually they get to a point where, well, we can't hold on so tight, so long. So now it's like open the floodgates, get everything
Right.
expedited. And then it's
Right.
just it's like panic runs right now
Right.
we see here in what we do every day.
Right. Yeah. And it does seem like things are changing daily sometimes,
Correct.
or weekly with some of the
Yeah.
announcements. I mean, it's
So
got to
whether
be
you
hard to.
agree with the administration or not, that's not the point. It's the point is we're living through it and how do we adapt to it, right?
Right.
So it's not
Right.
a
Yeah.
political statement of saying this is bad, this is good. It's just a matter of okay, this is what it is. How do we
Right.
kind of respond to it?
Right. And like you
Yeah.
said, I mean, 18 years that you've been doing this. I know you, and again, this your father started this company. Was it 07, 2007? Was that when he started it?
2006 officially. So basically, what
Okay.
happened was my father and a ex business partner at that time had bought an existing plating shop. So also based
Hmm.
in San Diego. And I joined in approximately 6 or 9 months into that venture. So I was doing something completely different. I was in a corporate background prior to that.
Hmm.
And basically, I was happy there, but I kind of saw my ceiling. My ceiling was
Right. Hmm.
almost there. And I was like, well, I'm still not too old, and I'm still don't have children, don't have a wife. I'm not, settled down, if you will. So I could take some
Right.
risks. So that's when I decided to join at that time. And
Right.
then it was a whirlwind from there.
Right. I remember, because I did a 20 questions on you a couple of years ago, and I remember I actually went back and looked at it today, and one of the questions or the answers you said was you failed miserably in sales because it is such a different industry type than mainstream media or mainstream business would be. Tell me about that. Well, how was it different with that?
Well, sales, like, I came from AT&T, so I worked at
Hmm.
AT&T at a corporate job there, and it was totally different. Yes, you develop relationships. Yes, you develop and you solve problems and provide solutions. That's kind of the foundation of sales. Foundation of sales is listen as much as you can, get what you need to close, and close. And it's like you always got to be closing. With this industry, it's I've seen it both ways. I've seen it kind of the way I just explained to you, which is hurry, 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 promise the world, get it in your door. That doesn't work. So,
Right.
in our
Exactly.
experience, it doesn't work. It may work for others, but in our experience, it has not. So for us, it was just more of the long play. I didn't realize that there was a long game here, and for
Mm,
me, it turned out to be much more beneficial. Now,
right.
I would say at that time, I'd be like, the long game is going to drown us, and we're going to be out of business before the long game plays out. So
Right.
it was just
Right.
it was a weird gamble, and I didn't realize I was playing it at that time. But it was the long game. It was all of a sudden these relationships that I've been developing for like 6, 8 months, 9 months to a year, all of a sudden were coming. And it's basically
Right.
just it was just a long play, and I didn't
Right.
realize it at the time. But now I realize it very well. A lot of times, people in this industry, especially people that have been in it for a long time, will realize that it's like, okay, well, you work with a company. That means you work with a set of engineers or a buyer or procurement, but those
Right.
individuals don't necessarily stay at the same company. So when they move,
Right.
a lot of times they'll take you along, and it's like you never know what networking brings you in this industry. I've had work given to us by other colleagues in our industry, whether it's a
Mm,
competing plating shop or just someone in a outside area. We've shared work, and it's a matter of there's a code. It's like we try to help each other, whether it's through necessity, where you have a
hmm.
disaster or some other problem, or whether it's just, hey, I'm a little too busy. Can you handle this? Take care of them. And
Hmm.
we're always happy to do that for each other. So it's nice to see that camaraderie. It's not often, but it is present. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's one.
I have found that. Yeah. In a lot of situations with that. You mentioned the long game with this, and a lot of it is building relationships, which I think you guys have done a really good job over the years with that because you are a service industry, right? And these people are going to work with you as long as you can continue to service them at a very high level, right? You have
Right.
to have the level of quality and the level of expertise that they want, but it is really building those relationships, and like you said, they may not come to fruition very quickly, but they stick if you can really, right? Is that what you all have learned there?
Yes, it brings stability, because
Mm,
once you get that relationship, it's about performance, right? The
hmm.
beginning is the hardest, in my opinion. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. The performance is the hardest, but you have to surpass step one. Step one is get the shot. You have to get the
Right.
opportunity to do that, and it's like almost always when you're taking on a new project, a new process, or even a new customer, you're not necessarily going to hit it out of the ballpark day one. But if you already
Right.
have that established relationship with them before you got the shot, they're more willing to work with you. And it's a matter of a perfect example is like, let's say we chemfilm a part. We're chem
Hmm.
filming to spec, everything's perfect. And then we have customer A that's like, this is exactly what we want. Customer B will be like, we want a different shade of yellow. And you're like, well, this meets spec. No, we want it to be that. So now we have
Mm,
to get ourselves accustomed to their needs, which are separate from the rest. Are we willing to work with them? Of course. But it's a learning
mm,
game. It's like performance is
right.
kind of like quality. You're just trying to always improve. and try to make it not a pass fail situation. And when you develop these relationships over time, that's when you start to get that kind of teamwork where we're all on the same
Right.
page. And it's
Right.
something I think a lot of us in this industry that I've experienced don't really fully kind of grasp. Um, my background's a little bit different, so I treat it kind of
Hmm.
like teamwork. I look at myself as an extension of my customer because in reality, I'm not trying to please our customer. I'm pleasing our customer's customer because
Right.
that's kind of the way it
Right.
looks. So it's like we're both on the same team trying to figure out the same thing. Because the reality
Mm.
is that if I work for even a company like General Atomics or Northrop Grumman, they have a customer they're selling to. And if they don't continue to get work that funds that program, that work isn't coming to us or
Mm.
anyone else in this industry. So it's a matter of
Right.
just being on the same team with your customer and figuring out solutions that work for their buyer and their customer. So it's like I look at it a little bit different because
Right.
plating shops have this stigma of it's the material. Like every time something comes out
Right.
bad, it's like it's the
Right. It's
material. This isn't the alloy you
right.
say it is, or what have you. It's like,
Right.
but we have to kind of step away from that. Even when that's the case, when it is, it's a matter of you shouldn't be. That's the first place you look. Yeah.
Right, exactly, exactly with that. And I guess it is developing a really, like I said, a deep, close trust with these customers,
Right.
like you said, and letting them know that you do have their best interest and that, you want to work good for them because they do, like you said, they do have customers that this is where it's going to go to, and it has to perform, it has to do exactly what it says. So, building that trust, I'm assuming, you'll this. It's not something that comes overnight in a year, 2 years. It's long term, like you said, goes back to the long play you
It's
mentioned.
long term. So it's like that's kind of what I tell anyone getting into this industry. It's like I talk to a lot of inexperienced individuals that jump into this industry because they want to get into manufacturing. And it's like, okay, well, don't get jaded by what occurs in the first 6 months for the first year. You have no idea. And it's like, not that everyone's trajectory is going to be the same as mine. It's just a matter of you don't really know what's going on. It's overwhelming at first. And especially
Right.
if you come from a different background and not understanding the smaller intricacies of what we do in manufacturing,
Hmm.
it's a difficult minefield to navigate. But it's like if anything, if my experience taught me anything is don't be disheartened. You don't know what's going on. I thought it was the end of the world. I was like,
Right.
great. I tried it, and it was like, I was like, I'm an utter failure at this, and like, no
Right.
dice. I'm not even being kind with my words. I really thought this was a horrible idea. It's like,
Right.
but then I was like, all right, it's time to figure out how to get back to where I was.
Right.
But
Exactly.
then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, it was like a light switch. Literally, with
Hmm.
no extra doing of my own, it just turned overnight, quite literally.
Great.
And
Yeah.
basically, I still remember those times. It was very difficult, but at the same time, very fulfilling. And
Right.
then it
Right.
was
Yeah.
met with the problems
Yeah.
after
I
that.
was. Yeah. I was gonna say. Yeah. Had your father had much experience in the finishing industry when he took over the company, or had he? Uh,
Significant experience. So basically,
okay.
he
Gotcha.
had all experience with the exception of actually running a facility. So basically, what he did was he's been a GM for pretty much 30 years, 40 years, working for a
Mm,
lot of bigger companies. So he started off at places like All Metals, Precision Anodizing in Anaheim is actually his first job as a
mm,
18 or 19-year-old kid.
mm.
Or no, actually he was a little bit older, but it was his first job. So from there, he worked at All Metals Processing, worked at firms like
Right.
Envy down in Orange County, which
Right.
happened to be my first high school job as an expediter. And, so,
Okay.
so
Right. Oh.
basically, it's one of those things where it's he's always been on the production side, so he's always
Right.
had a good firm understanding of how to deal with individuals that come from different backgrounds and how to make a cohesive unit to get product out the door. So the
Right.
business aspect of it was not something he was interested in whatsoever.
Sure.
It was just
Right.
not his cup of tea. It was not something
Right.
he pretended to know, nor was it something that he even wanted to deal with because it's like he wanted to be like, you bring the work or someone brings the work. I make sure it gets done well and on time.
Right.
We coexist.
Right.
and
Exactly.
and you understand that. And he was phenomenal at that. So basically, as
Right.
far as doing that aspect, he was much better than I was for sure.
Right. Right. And is that you kind of filled that business end role when you joined? Is that kind of what your role was to be with that?
No, at that role at that time was customer relations. So I would do,
Just customer.
of course, I
Okay.
would do my time in the shop. So understanding how everything is done, to understand how to process parts and kind of the intricacies of that. And basically, if you're selling in this atmosphere, as a metal finisher, it's vital you understand how it works, to understand the limitations
Right. Hmm.
and the gaps in each one of your facilities. It's very hard to just go to a customer and say we could do everything you want. We'll do everything your current finisher is not, but
Hmm.
you'll fall flat on your face because your facility is not set up for what you're trying to sell or what you're trying to solve for
Right.
that customer. And it
Right.
could be a
Hmm.
process you offer. It's just you're not set up to do exactly, maybe, let's say, the volume that they want. So it's very vital that I think you spend time to understand the facility itself. And it's
Right.
basically one of those things. So once after doing that, that's when I was involved with dealing with customers or acquiring new customers. And that was where I felt like the, my failure, if you will. So it wasn't really in understanding what the business is and how it works and how understanding everything else. It was the acquisition part, acquisition of new clients
Right.
and new customers. That was difficult
Right.
for me.
Yeah.
But I
It,
didn't
it does
understand
take.
that it was
Yeah.
just a long play.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does take some time with that, and so it's you all like I said, did you have you kind of had a setback with a fire? When was that took place with you all that kind of
Shortly after the light switch turned on. So, meaning very
wow.
rapidly. So I
Hmm.
remember it was about 2008, 2009. So basically, what
Oh,
happened
okay.
was I started in 2008, got traction by the end of 2007, or middle. And basically, we had acquired some large orders, so much orders that it was almost overwhelming. So what happened was our floor was full. We had no space to hold these orders. And basically, we started night shift for the first time that week.
Mm.
When we had second shift running, the first day of second shift, we had a fire. So basically,
Ooh.
my experience of that was pretty wild. So basically, what happened was failing tremendously in acquiring customers, finally acquiring customers, immediately starting second shift shortly after that, and then having a fire on quite literally day one of
Day
second
one.
shift.
Okay.
Maybe it was day two, but I'm pretty sure it's day
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
So it was like at
Wow.
that point it was a small controlled fire, so it was essentially on our electric nickel tank. We had an electrician come out that day, miswired two of the fail safes, so our liquid level as well as the
Mm.
overtime fuse. So essentially, we
Wow.
had a controlled fire because our second shift didn't shut off the heater properly. So we had
Mm.
both happen coincidentally, unfortunately, at the first time. Yeah,
But so how many people do you have working for you now then?
we
Over there.
have 15 total. So basically, we
Gotcha.
hover around 15 to 20 on average. And that's kind of the staffing that we've kind of maintained throughout the years. It has gone above and hasn't gone below, really, from there. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So,
Again, yeah, I was gonna say, you get that fluctuate. I know some companies have huge fluctuations in this. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. With that, seems like it's not good when you have these huge fluctuations, bringing people on. It's hard to get people, and again, hard to get people to stay. So,
but there's kind of like two ways, like I've always seen it. So we've been overstaffed many times. It's not like it was a smart
mhm.
decision to carry on that much staff. We should have downsized quite a few times for small periods of time. But then the way I always looked at it was we were always quick to act. So, for example, during downtime, a lot of our competitors would be like, oh, well, we need 4 to 5 days, 6 days a week to turn around parts, not because they were overwhelmed, it was because they had short staffing. They were sized appropriately
Right,
for the business. We being oversized would be like, oh yeah, no problem. We could turn it around quick. We one don't have that much work, and two we're overstaffed. So that
right,
kind of played to
right,
our benefit a lot of times. So we were quick to act during those downturns. Um,
right.
was that a smart decision? I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So
Yeah, and again, you're probably so busy, you don't have time really to go back and look and do a deep analysis of it. You just kind of
Yeah,
again keep your head above water on it sometimes
right.
with that.
Uh,
It's again, yeah. Go ahead. What you're gonna say?
I guess the best way I can explain it was a swimmingly time.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. How's everything going swimmingly? That's exactly right. It's funny. Like I said, when I talked to you a couple years ago about and you had said that you saw real, especially in California, really big changes in metal finishing, and the big, I guess, challenge was how do you guys evolve with that? And you've seen some of the and you've seen the rules take place, and then you've seen, like I said, the changing business market. Uh, how are you all evolving into this? Because it seems like in the last 5 years, it's really a lot of things have changed. Sometimes seems like it.
um, Regulatory wise, it's been a wild road. Being in California, we kind of know that we're going to go above and beyond the federal government, the EPA, etc. So basically, it's a matter of navigating local government is the first hurdle. It's like always the first hurdle.
Hmm.
So like the way I experienced it first was through a fire. So when we reset up, so that gave
Right.
me the worst time I could possibly imagine to even explain to you in my life, by far, as in the
Mm.
most difficult time I ever had, because we made a lot of missteps in that. We moved
Mm.
after the fire, but we didn't
Mm.
know that would be a setting up of a new business, even though we moved
Mm.
a block and a half. So basically, at that point, it was just a logistical nightmare. So when I compare
Mm.
everything to today to that, it'll seem easier. However, in the last 5 to 10 years, I've noticed a change in California. So California has been a little bit more stringent in some areas, a little bit more lax in certain areas. So the local government comes into play because they usually communicate what's going on with us. So, for example, in San Diego County, we have quite a few organizations, regulatory bodies, and basically they'll say, okay, at the state level, this is going into effect. This is what we require of you. But in plating, it's a hard one. So
Hmm.
just on Friday, we had some politicians here. We were talking about PFAS, and it's like, okay, well, what does it mean? Well, it's a bad substance. There's no doubt about it. There's
Hmm.
no way a plater could say it's not. It's a good thing for the
Right.
environment and the world as a whole. It does suppress fumes for a lot of these hard chrome platers, etc. However, the way we're taking at it is like a front line metal finishing industry problem. That's not the true statement. And it's like we kind of turned into that scapegoat. So it's like, how do
Right.
you battle that? You're battling it on a media point of view, a government point of view, a regulatory point of view, and it's a very difficult thing. Do I, as a plater, if we ran hard chrome, want that? No. But would I want the
No.
performance of that? Yes. So then now
Hmm.
you have all these suppliers and companies trying to come up with formulations without it. However, the stigma attached with PFAS is not the airports or the fire suppression or the Gore-Tex clothing that Nike produces. It's actually the plating shops. They're the ones
Right.
creating the biggest problem. So it's like
Right.
we in this industry are painted in a bad light. And it's very
Right.
difficult for us to explain our way out of it. Because if you have the lead politician, lead of EPA, saying we're going to get the plating industry issues gone, yet the
Right.
same administration saying we're going to bring manufacturing back to the United States. These are
Right. You
two
can't have one or the
very
other.
conflicting
Right.
statements.
Contradictory. Hmm.
And that's the thing that I kind of try to explain to our local politicians, or like we had the SBA here on Friday, and they brought a lot of people from Washington D.C. and from California.
Hmm.
And it's like
Interesting.
that's what I was trying to explain to them. They're like, "Well, how's manufacturing?" I'm like, "Well, you can't paint one of the steps in manufacturing in a bad light and say we want to bring all manufacturing back. You can't. Like, what are you
Right.
going to do? Make all the parts here and ship them to China to get plated? Like, it just doesn't make sense."
Right.
So it's a matter
Exactly.
of kind of education, and that's where I think the
Right.
metal finishing industry needs to do better. We need to not just lobby with our politicians, but also get the word out that hey, the iPhone in your pocket is also anodized. Do understand that everything
Right.
you're in contact with, from your vehicle to simple luxury goods or small things, these are things that have gone through a facility that produces what we produce. And it's a very
Right.
hard thing for others to understand because
Right.
I'm sure you're deeper in this industry than I am. But I'm sure you have friends and family that you explain what industry you cover, and they'll be like, "So is it like painting?" And you're like, "No,
Yeah,
it's far more than
exactly.
painting." Yeah,
Right.
and it's very difficult
Exactly.
to explain. I can even tell you, my
Yeah.
wife doesn't know exactly what I do, so it's like it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, yeah, yeah, like I said, it is hard as a executive in a company like yourselves. I mean, it's hard enough, like I said, to appease customers, to appease your employees, keep everybody happy, but then you're always sort of looking over your shoulder, right? Of what could possibly come down the pike that could a dent your business or threaten your business, and that's always that's it's got to be tough sometimes, to be sitting in that chair and have to know think about everything that could possibly be going on with that. It's got to be a difficult situation people maybe don't recognize a lot.
Yeah, it's a difficult task. So basically, it's a matter of longevity and what you want, what your succession plan is for a lot of individuals, what you want out of the business, what you personally want, what you want for your staff, how to maintain, how to grow, how to downsize, whatever you want to do. That's always on your mind, because those are things that may or may not be out of your control. A lot of times, it's a situation where if a new ruling passes, yes, you will be grandfathered in for a period of time, but that doesn't work for a long period of time. You can't have an inspector come and you're like, hey, look, we were grandfathered prior to this rule change. And it's like, that will fly for a while. It's just borrowed time.
Right.
And it's a
It
matter
is.
of
Yeah.
you can take a hard front on it or a hard line on it. It's not going to win you in the long term. And
Right.
that's where it
Exactly.
becomes kind of a stress. And yeah,
Right.
a constantly evolving market and alongside constantly moving and evolving regulations, it becomes a very difficult environment to navigate in.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
things where you're like, what do we do next? How do we accommodate?
Right. Right.
And these
Because a
aren't,
lot of it,
yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say a lot of it, your talent can't overcome it. It's just regulatory things. It's not like you could
right.
outperform, outwork anybody else in those threats. The threats are something sometimes you can't do anything about, and that's got to be the most difficult,
Yeah.
frustrating part of it. But yeah.
Well,
So let me ask you. I mean, what's in the next couple of years? I mean, do you plan on adding anything? Is anything going to be customers are asking for? Or you're pretty much going to set tight because it seems you have a wide variety now of everything, the chem film and everything else. So you have a lot that people want, right? Is there anything that you're looking to change or add or anything, or is it?
there are some things. So there are some programs we want to do. We want to advance a little bit more and turn a little bit more specialized. So start to work more towards the aerospace market. I
Mm-hmm.
believe California is one of those places where it's not the easiest environment to run a plating shop. So basically, I'm pretty confident California is number one, if not Hawaii. So basically, I believe this is one of the hardest places to operate a facility like
Yeah.
ours. However, I believe that in California, if you're not a NADCAP facility, I don't think you're going to survive, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
the next 10 years out. I believe you have to be specialized at this point. You can't be a decorative plater in California. I don't believe that will be a long game. I don't think that's
Right.
kind of a play. We're not decorative plating, but just to give an example. So basically, for
Right.
us, it's like, okay, we're doing functional and engineered coatings 99%. But at the same time, I know that it's moving all to NetCap. So you have a lot of companies under pressure, looking for the good in NetCap, overlooking some of the bad. But as a whole, it's a
Right.
good thing. Yeah. So it's a whole. I think it's kind of level playing field. And basically, I think you have the push for that. You do see a lot of metal finishers, even in California, especially, that have moved to NatCap or in process of NatCap or in process of recertification of NatCap, etc. So you have a bunch of shops doing that. And I think in California, especially, I think that's going to be the only kind of way to survive. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's in our cards as well. It's just a matter of what timing. Currently, we do have
Right.
customers pushing us for it, but at the same time, we do have kind of a odd advantage as well. So basically, it's one of those things where okay, if we're not NatCap right now, we do kind of have an advantage as to having it, if that makes sense.
Right. exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind
it
of like
does, and it's
tutoring.
right. Yeah, it's a monumental paradigm shift for a company to do that.
Correct.
It costs money and it costs people and with all those things. But yeah, like I said, it sounds like you guys are doing very well, and like I said, again, just building those relationships and maintaining them seems to be the hallmark of what's made you all successful. I'm sure.
Yes, it's like I think customer. It's not just customer service. It's just relationships. You want to not just be. It's a true relationship. It's difficult. Um, we all have customers, sometimes more than not, that we don't necessarily like dealing with, and it's like okay, but you have to understand where they're coming from and try to sit in their shoes too. So basically, it's a weird space to navigate and understand that they are helping you succeed, whether you see it that way or not. And it's like it's just a matter of figure it out. Does that mean you don't annex yourself with
Hmm.
companies? No, because certain marriages are just not meant to work, and it's a matter of figure out okay, well, what's
Right.
best and amicable in this situation. Maybe I'm not the best finisher for you, or maybe you're not the best customer for us, and it's a matter of understanding that and trying to either severing that relationship or figuring out a way to make it better.